Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to talk about another important subject, and that is slay your demons. Now we will look at the subject. There are three demons which may attack our body or which exist in a latent form, and those are Sora, Psychosis, and Syphilis. Now, these three terms basically are taken from the field of homeopathic medicine. Hahnemann, the pioneer in this field, introduced this subject. But Sora is a word which he got from the Arabic language. So he traced the root of all chronic diseases. Now here it is relevant to mention that what is meant or what is the difference between an acute disease and a chronic disease. Now I'll give you examples. Like for example, if you have flu, if you have malaria, if you have typhoid, if you have diarrhea, these are acute diseases. They are short-lived. They are there in the system or they attack the system for a short while. Once the medicine is administered, they leave the system. The fever is over and everything is there. But Sora and psychosis and syphilis are chronic diseases, and chronic diseases are those diseases which continue for a number of years or till one's death. So one has to be careful about these also, because in this world that we are living, one needs to examine all the threats which are there existing in the form of diseases and other perversions. So first of all, let us look at what is Sora. Sora is a chronic disease. Now there are three miasms which are responsible for chronic diseases. And what do we mean by miasm? Miasm means a stain or pollution. Hahnemann, the pioneer of homeopathic medicine, felt that Sora or scabies was like the original sin. It is the cause for all subsequent disorders. So basically, Sora is rooted in disobedience. When man keeps on disobeying God, this is activated in him. It is there existing in everyone in a dormant state. But once you keep on committing excesses and once a person keeps on committing, sins, then the Sora is activated. Now, this is also because of imbalances in the system, that is in the body. And imbalances are created because of sins. So it is the most ancient, universal, and destructive disease known to mankind. Each individual carries it in the latent form. And deficiency is the key term of Sora. That is, a person who is suffering from this miasm, he will feel deficient, underconfident, lazy, lethargic, lacking vital heat. So deficiency is the basic indicator of Sora. Now we come on to the next. What is syphilis? It represents destruction. I think we skipped a slide. So what is psychosis? It represents the pathological condition of excessiveness. In the case of the first miasm, that is Sora, we were talking about deficiency. Now here it is excessiveness, like excessive perspiration, excessive secretions, and so on and so forth. And the perspiration is of a fishy odor. If the Sora is inactive, then this does not work. Then psychosis does not work. Now yellow color is strongly associated with this miasm. This miasm is associated with perversion in sex. There was an outbreak of syphilis and there was an outbreak of psychosis in the 20th century in Europe, and then we had AIDS. So these diseases, that is, psychosis is also referred to as gonorrhea. So psychosis, syphilis, these AIDS, these all are the outcomes of excesses or perversion in the sexual field. So as we have discussed earlier also, that basically the human body has two appetites. One has to do with the food that we take, nutrition, etc., diet. And the second one has to do with sex. So in case you see one is taking the wrong type of diet, by wrong type of diet I mean haram and halal, that is the difference that has to be taken into account. Then Sora gets activated. And if one is indulging in wrong pursuits of sex by watching movies which are prohibited all the time, or maximizing or thriving on those, then the chances are that the other two mayas may also get activated. But again, the cardinal point to note is that if the Sura is inactive, then the other two mayas, they also cannot function. Now, what is syphilis? It represents destruction, though this destruction is rarely violent in nature. It is a slow erosion of the system. So let us recapitulate. Sora के साथ जो है वो तो associated हो गई deficiency, और साइकोसिस के साथ हो गया excessiveness, और syphilis के साथ हो गया destruction. So basically all these diseases, chronic diseases, cause disequilibrium in the system. ये syphilis का भी root cause जो है बीमारियों का वो it is sexual excesses. So if the Sora is inactive in the system, then this too becomes dysfunctional. All these three miasmas reflect varying degrees of overall disharmony. For achieving balances in life, one needs to lead a clean life. All these miasmas are, as stated earlier, pollutants and can be removed from the system, though with great effort once they become active. अगर तो एक्टिव है नहीं तो फिर तो कोई मसला नहीं है, मगर अगर ये एक्टिवेट हो जाएं तो फिर मसला पड़ जाता है, फिर इनको निकालना बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है. So in the first case, Sora should not be allowed to become active. So how do we slay these demons? पहले तो इनको activate ही ना होने दें. फिर avoid all excesses. Disease is a state of disharmony when one is in a state of uneasiness and the requirement of balances becomes a crying need. Disease shouldn't lead one to despair. It is a part of being human. In times of distress, one should seek medical advice and should call out to Allah for help. Lastly, remember, if the Sora is not active, the other two miasmas become dysfunctional. तो ये तो होम्योपैथिक मेडिसिन के पर्सपेक्टिव से ये चीज मैंने आपको बताई है, क्योंकि होम्योपैथिक जो मेडिसिन है वो एक होलिस्टिक व्यू लेती है पूरी इंसान की शख्सियत का. जो चीज इधर एक और चीज जो ज़हन में रखनी चाहिए कि जिस तरह अल्लामा इकबाल ने फरमाया कि हया नहीं जमाने की आंख में, बाकी खुदा करे तेरी जवानी रहे बेदाग. आजकल के दौर में जो हमारी यंग जनरेशन है, इनको चाहिए कि वो अवॉइड करें ऐसा सब लिटरेचर या ऐसा पोर्नोग्राफिक मटेरियल विच कैन कंटेमिनेट और पोल्यूट देयर माइंड, क्योंकि अगर ये पोल्यूशन आ गई तो फिर निकालना इसको बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा. सो द कार्डिनल इशू इज, or the cardinal point to note is that prevention is better than cure. You can cure yourself, you can remain in a state of health by not allowing these tendencies to overpower you. But once they start overpowering you, then you have to fight them and get out of the disease miasmas. Thank you very much. I hope you found this informative, because this is in the process of achieving balances, we must take into account all those obstacles that are there